Dr. Linnen, and I am a recently minted full professor at the University of Kentucky, and my lab uses insects to study how new species form. My path in research is kind of long because I'm older in my career now, but I started out, probably like many of you, as an undergrad at a big state school. So I did my undergraduate degree at the University of Georgia. I was one of those kids that always loved chasing around animals outside and seeing what they were doing, and so I had an interest in biology, and I did what I thought you did with an interest in biology, and I was a pre-med because I didn't really know that research was an option. And then about my sophomore year, we had this really cool class where every week a professor from a biology related department would come in and we would read a paper by their lab and then we would discuss it. And a guy came in and he had written a paper on the evolution of aging. And it was kind of one of these questions I had never thought about before. You know, why do things age? You know, shouldn't natural selection make you live and reproduce forever? And so I thought it was really fascinating, this approach of asking these why questions. So after leaving University of Georgia, I did my PhD at Harvard, working on the group of insects I'm working now. I then stuck around for another 4 years to do a postdoc, which is a period where you typically do some additional training, get some other research tools under your belt. And then I was hired here in 2011 to start my lab, which was an interesting experience because professors really aren't trained to be professors. We're trained to do research, and then we have to figure out how to teach and mentor and other things. So overall, it's not just me doing the experiments. I have a lab full of really talented postdocs and research technicians and graduate students and undergraduates. And collectively, we as a whole are working on experiments to try to understand how new species form and how, when you have closely related species in nature, how they can remain distinct despite occasional contact. So basically, how is biodiversity created and maintained? And we do everything from collecting them and observing them in nature. We bring them into the lab to measure their fitness, so how they perform in different situations. We make crosses to look at the genetics underlying their differences. So we do lots of different things in here. So as a whole, that's what my lab is working towards, but each person kind of has their own unique project that contributes to that. Absolutely, I think that's one of the single best things we have to offer at the University of Kentucky, because as college students, you're learning that knowledge that you're learning in your classes, that is not a fixed thing. Science is not just the knowledge we have, but it's the creation of knowledge, and I think it's really important to understand how that works. And there's no better way to do that than to get into a research lab and actually do data collection, analyze the data. You get the excitement of seeing your first result, and actually learn something that nobody else knew. It's also a way of taking a big university that can be overwhelming when you first get here and have kind of a smaller kind of, not like family, I don't want to put it like that, but a smaller group to make it feel not so overwhelming. It's people that you can connect with to do this collaborative work. So there's lots of good reasons to do research. Even if you're not going to go into research, understanding how that works is going to make you a better doctor, a better bioinformatician, better data scientist, better whatever you want to do. Understanding how the process works is key. So I think that I give two pieces of advice. One is, and we kind of touched on this, but getting into research. I think the earlier you get into research, the more you get out of it, because the longer you're in the lab, the more you have an opportunity to potentially see that science go from early ideas to maybe a publication. But the second piece of advice is to learn as early as you can how to study, not just for memorization, but for comprehension.